Okay, it is saying I'm live. Okay. Yes, I think now it should show. I've written a hello also. Hi Dipalika, hi Siddhartha. Can you hear me? I hope everyone can hear me. Okay. Good evening and a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you all for joining me. A very special thank you to Shornali and Jantada for having the trust on me to be able to pull along this PKG live. You know, it's a very, very big responsibility. Starting the live session, as you all know, my topic for the day is Calcutta, the melting pot of cultures. Now, when we say this phrase, melting pot of cultures, the first, neighborhood or area which comes to our mind is either Chitpur or Murgihatta. Yes, those are the places which are the quintessential melting points in this city, but I am not going to talk about those places. The area which I have chosen is a road, rather it's a street where I have spent, my entire childhood, the most formative years of my life. My school was close by. I still go there for work. The area which I'm going to talk about today is the Free School Street. Okay, so Free School Street is a place which has lot of history, history which is not often spoken about, but there too there is an amalgamation of lot of cultures. There is history of various communities, culinary history, cultural history, and so we embark upon a virtual tour. Okay, so as you all know, I conduct heritage walks, so that's the only format I know, even if I have to conduct a talk. So what we'll do today is we'll walk the talk. Okay, so we'll go on a virtual walk through Park Street. Now since it's a walk, so we'll have a starting point, we'll have a ending point. So we start the walk from the crossing of Park Street and Free School Street, and we'll end the walk at Jan Bazaar. Okay. Now, whenever I do my walks, I always try to begin with telling my guests about the history of, the name of the place, rather, what is the history behind the name of the place. So in this case, the street is Free School Street. So which free school are we talking about here? So, as most of us know, the site where the present St. Andrew's Church stands today, there was a charity school there, a school called a charity school there. Later, a part of the school was given out to the East India Company to start a court, which was the old court there. Later in, the vestry realized that they need to have a free school where they can impart training and education to the Christian children born to poor parents. The free school, it was called the free school. It started from somewhere in Mission Row. And then again, there was a pressing need to have a bigger premises. It was when they wanted a bigger area to run the school that the vestry, they bought a piece of land, the corporation, they bought a piece of land in Jan Bazaar. Okay, so they bought a piece of land from a gentleman who went by the name of Mr. Louis Barreto. They bought the land from him, and they started the free school there. Okay. Later, the church was made in 1833, I think, if I'm not wrong. St. Thomas's Church was made, and much later, the free school stopped, and another school, St. Thomas's School, started there. So the free school stopped, and St. Thomas's School started. Though the school was gone, but the free school to the street, the name of the street remained. So hence, it was called Free School Street. There is another thing that in the 1920s, where you see the fire brigade, it was a part of the school only, but then in the 1920s, a part of that land was given for the construction of the fire brigade. So hence the name Free School Street. St. Thomas's, where the present day Free School Street, St. Thomas's School stands today, was the place where Free School stood. Okay. Now this is the history of Free School Street. Now what about the new name? The new name is Mirza Ghalib Street. As we all know that Mirza Ghalib, the famous poet, he had come to Calcutta in 1828. He had come sometime in February 1828 and stayed on till October 1829. And he had come here to plead his case for pension to the British authorities. And he stayed in a lot of places here. So we have a place where he stayed in Shimulia, a place, though the house where he stayed in, there's a lot of, controversy there. But then still, he had come to Calcutta, and that is a fact. But why this particular street was named after him, I don't know. Because the nearest association which I could find to this area with the Mirza Ghalib was the Calcutta Madrasa, where he is supposed to have come and done a lot of mushairas and poetic conferences. That is the nearest landmark I could find which has some link with Mirza Ghalib. But then still, it is still known as Mirza Ghalib Street and Free School Street. So both the names are there. So now that we've cleared the history behind the name, let's embark upon the walk. So the first place, so as I said, the starting point is Park Street and Free School Street crossing. There stands the majestic, very beautiful building called the Park Mansions. Okay. Before it was named the Park Mansions, this building was known as the Thaddeus Mansions. After the man who constructed this building in 1910, an Armenian business tycoon by the name of Mr. T.M. Thaddeus, he had made this beautiful apartment. And if you ever go to Park Street after this lockdown is over, on the wall of this building towards the Park Street side, just below the neon sign of Hard Rock Cafe, you will find the foundation plaque of this building, which states that the foundation of this mansion was laid in the year 1910 by his wife, Lizzie Thaddeus. Okay. Now, this part of the history, everyone knows, after a few years, after a few decades, this trust was taken over by the APJ group, and they called it the Park Mansions. Now, this part of history about this building is known to all. I mean, most of us, okay? But what interests me more is to know whether there is something, what stood on this site prior to the Park Mansions being built. And fortunately, there are quite a few documented histories about it. Now, the first research which I could do throws up the fact that this site was the residence of a gentleman who went by the name of Sir John Royds, after whom Royds Street is named. Okay, yes, his name had a S. Royds Street is without the S. Okay, so he stayed there, and after that, this was the site where stood the boys section of the Dovetone College. Okay, so a college was started there, which was named as the Dovetone College, and this was the site where the boys section was. All right, and after that, when in the early 1900s, the college faced a closure, and then it was bought over by T.M. Thaddeus, and the old building was demolished, and this beautiful Park Mansions was built. Okay, so Armenian history here, right? So we'll keep counting how many cultures, how many things we cover. Another bit of Armenian history, we'll take a small, since it's a virtual tour, you don't have to walk much, so we can keep having these small detours into the lanes and by lanes of Free School Street also. So we'll enter Royds Street. Okay, and at the end of Royal Street, at the crossing of Rafi Ahmad Kidwai Road and Royal Street, at 15 number Royal Street, you have a very historical girls' school there, which is called the Davidian Girls' School. Again, started and envisioned by an Armenian gentleman who went by the name of David Davidian, and he is interred in the Armenian church graveyard. Now, Armenians from the very beginning laid a lot of impetus on the education of girls, and with that in mind, he started this school, the Davidian school. Now, this school started somewhere else. I haven't been able to find out exactly where. But later, when David Davidian was able to buy this house at 15 number Royal Street, he shifted the school here. Then he always thought that the school would become very big, and when the school would become big, he had purchased a plot of land in Ashutosh Mukherjee Road also, where the school shifted also for a bit. But after David Davidian's death in 1936, the school moved back here, and from then it is still here. Okay, so so I've served you Free School Streets are Armenian history. Now we come out of Royal Street onto Free School Street once again, and as soon as you come out, just beside Karnani Mansion, you will find another slice of Armenian history conjoined with a bit of British history. Okay, so there is the Armenian College there. Okay, and if you walk past the gates of the college, you will see a plaque outside there which says that the famous British novelist William Makepeace Thackeray, who lived there, was born there rather. Okay, so it was the house where William Makepeace Thackeray, the author of Vanity Fair, was born. And later, when the place was acquired by the Armenian Society, the old house was demolished and the Armenian College was built in its place. Okay, now again we move ahead. We move ahead and come to the crossing of Kidd Street and Free School Street. Okay, now Kidd Street, as I have said, I always try to first tell you the history behind the name of the street. So Kidd Street, and to know the history of that particular street, I'll quote from a book which is a sort of my Bible. So quoting from European Calcutta by Dhrubajyoti Banerjee, it says, popularly known as Jhanjari Talao Ka Rasta and shown as Chaurangi Tank Street in Wood's map of 1784, this street runs from Chaurangi Road to Free School Street. The street probably, okay, please, I'm stressing on the word probably because there are two views on which kid is the street named after. Okay, so it says that the street probably commemorates a distinguished Englishman, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Kidd, military secretary to the government of Bengal. He was a distinguished botanist who had his residence at the site of today's Chaurangi Mansions, which is at number 30 Chaurangi Road. And this Robert Kidd was the one who was instrumental in getting the botanical gardens established. Now, the second view, according to historian Kathleen Bletcheden, Kidd Street might have been named after Robert Kidd's son, General Alexander Kidd. So there are both the views that it might have been named after Robert Kidd or it might have been named after his son, who was Captain Alexander Kidd. Now this street also, though it is popularly known as Kidd Street, it has been renamed. I don't know how many of us really call it by this name, but now it is known as Dr. M. Ishaq Street. Now, who was this Dr. M. Ishaq? So to quote from European Calcutta once again, okay, so in independent India, the street was renamed after Dr. M. Ishaq, the founder, General Secretary of the Iran Society. Now, this Iran Society still stands today in Kidd Street at number 12 Kidd Street. He was an eminent Arabic and Persian scholar and taught at the Calcutta University from 1927 to 1960. And it was due to his efforts that the Iran Society could acquire these premises and build the Iran Society there. As I said, Iran Society is there, but what was there prior to this? This site would have had something, because there were a lot of European inhabitants there. So records show two things, okay? Now, I don't know the exact timelines. I'm trying to find out. But it says that this compound and this house originally belonged to James Barwell, who was the son of Richard Barwell, who was a colleague of Warren Hastings. Richard Barwell, his son, this site, there was a house here which belonged to him. And there was another thing here. There was a hotel which went by the name of Albany Hotel here. We have some old pictures of Albany Hotel. And when I was walking through the street once, I could make out a few, arches and a few windows which were as old as that. But we really have no solid, research about this hotel. But we do have an old picture there. All right. Now, now we'll talk about a few things which are of importance on Kid Street. As I said that, number 30 Chaurangi Road is Chaurangi Mansions, which is right at the corner of Chaurangi Road and Kid Street. And there is an entrance also from there. Okay, you can enter through Chaurangi Road as well as through Kid Street. And at one point of time, this site was also the site, Chaurangi Mansions, where it stands today, was also the site where a club by the name of United Services Club stood. All right. Now, number 1 Kid Street, if you go there, you will find a beautiful building there, which goes by the name of Palace Court. Okay. Prior to the Palace Court being built, Palace Court was built in the year 1926. Prior to the Palace Court being built on this site, this was the place where the residential chambers of the United Service Club was. Later, in 1926, the Palace Court was built and it became a residential apartment. Now, all my walks, I do try to make it fun and, try to give a bit of trivia here. So, a very funny and interesting trivia here is that the Palace Court has an association with Amitabh Bachchan. How? So most of us would have seen a very early picture of his, Mr. Bachchan's picture, which was given when he tried to enter films. Okay, that picture was clicked by a photographer who went by the name of Mr. Ahmed Ali, who had his photo studio in the Palace Court. And it was a picture which he clicked of Mr. Bachchan, which he, which proved to be his passport to the film in industry. Again, at another important house in Kid Street is at number 3. Now, presently, it is the Central Food and Serological Laboratory, I think, if I got the name correct. But one point in time, it was a palatial house of David Ezra and Lady Ezra. David Ezra, as we all know, has was a very big business tycoon. He was a Jewish person and he was a very big person who built the synagogues. He had a lot of wealth, the Esplanade mansions and various other buildings he had built. Now, a bit about him, if I can, again, I'll quote. He was a director. Sir David was respected throughout the country. He was knighted in June 1927 by King George V. Then again, he was a director. He had several jute mills and coal mines. He was in charge of the Havra oil mills, and he had vast Ezra estates. He was the sheriff of Calcutta, and he was also in the managing committee of the Zoological Gardens. Okay, so he was a big man, and like the Marble Palace, like we speak about the Marble Palace in the Black Town. But just like the Marble Palace, David Ezra in his house in Kid Street, they also had a private zoo. All right. Now, so we've unearthed a bit about our Armenian history, a bit about British history, a bit about Jewish history. Now, let's go on to Goan history. How? I'll tell you. Let's walk on. So we'll cross over to Marquis Street, and the passage which we'll take is through Chaurangi Lane. Yes, the famous Chaurangi Lane of the 36 Chaurangi Lane fame. But, it is very ironic that there is no number 36 in Chaurangi Lane. Okay, so we'll move on to Marquis Street. Now, here we have a bit about Goan history. How? Now, music. We'll talk about music. Music is something which is very, very legendary in Bengal. I mean, music goes, it's in the blood. There are so many stories, there are so many histories about how the great babus of Calcutta used to hold these beautiful musical soirees, musical nights, musical concerts, patronize the singers and the kabyals and the baijis. Okay, though all of that is gone, but music still remains in our DNA, right? And then again, we have people who had set shop here, and they have continued to imbibe that musical sense in us. One such shop, when you go from Marquis Street again onto Free School Street, is a shop called Braganza's. Okay, now Braganza, I think if I got the year right, if I can just consult my notes, if you just give me a minute. Okay, yes. So Braganza's was started by two brothers who went by the name of Francis and Thomas Braganza. They set shop in 1942. And for most of us, I think it is just the ghost shop for anything to do with music, pianos, guitars, musical books, everything you get there. Though now they've opened a much larger shop, a more modern shop with all the keyboards and the electronic guitars, but the old Braganzas in Marquis Street remains as it is, and it is the one-stop shop if you want to get your pianos repaired or even rent them out. And if there is a shop which has so much of legacy, then it will some great names will be there also associated with the shop. SD Burman, RD Burman, Satyajit Ray, all have been there. Okay, now we'll move on again from Marquis Street. We again come on to the Free School Street crossing now once again. Now here I have spoken about the Jewish and the rest of the histories. Now I'll tell you a bit about my personal history, a personal thing which I had heard. Now, when you come out of Marquis Street onto the crossing of Free School Street, you will see a very old block of building. It has red exposed bricks, but it is a beautiful corner a building, and the foodies out here will know that there are two very famous Bangladeshi restaurants there, Radhuni and Prince. So it is on the ground floor, and that building, my father had told me that one point in time when they had shifted here, whenever they had, there was a restaurant called Shamiana there. Okay, my father has seen a restaurant there by the name of Shamiana, and then it closed down. And then a few old families who stayed there also talk about a Chinese restaurant which was there, which went by the name of White Bear, and there were some bars and all there also. Okay. So now we move on to Free School Street down towards Jan Bazaar, and we come at the crossing of Sadr Street and Free School Street. Now we will not enter Sadr Street because it's an entirely different walk. It will take too much time. But then since we are at the crossing of Sadr Street, I always like to talk about the history of the name. So if you refer to Wood's map of 1784, this street was known as Ford Street, and later it was known as Speke Street after Peter Speke, who had a house in this street, and that house is still a part of the Indian Museum compound. It still is there. Later, that house was taken over by the East India Company or the people there to build the Sadr Diwani Adalat there. Okay, so after that Sadr Diwani Adalat, the name Sadr Street to this street was there. Okay, now we trudge further down and we come to St. Thomas's School, the history of which I have told you when I was talking about the history of the name of the street. Now, culinary history. All right, so food and history in Calcutta. You cannot make the two separate. It goes hand in hand. Okay, so we talk so much about the historical joints in North Calcutta, about the freedom fighters at all and all, but this part of the city also has a bit of culinary history, if not very old, but then it's still there. I am talking about Kalman Storage, right? And all the foodies in the group, especially those who love the cold cuts and their sausages and their meatloaves, would know that I'm talking about a small hole in the wall kind of shop called the Kalman Storage, which unfortunately closed down last year. This shop was, has a very surprising history now. So many people have been to, like, I think, there is no, I mean, so many kind of people, so many communities have been here. So Kalman is associated with Hungarian. So there was a Hungarian trapeze artist who had come to Calcutta in the 1940s. And after the World War II was over, he did not go back to Hungary. He stayed on, whether it was his love for the city or it was some other reason. But then he stayed on in the city and established this cold storage company called as the Kalman Storage, which was extremely famous for its cold cuts till last year. Later, when Kalman Sahib died in the year 1969, the shop was taken over by his accountant, who went by the name of B. Dhor, and he was the one who had kept the company going. But the name, he didn't change the name. The name was still Kalman Storage, but then unfortunately it died. The company closed down last year sometime. Now we move on and come to the crossing of Lindsay Street and Free School Street. Let's go inside Lindsay Street to see the famous New Market. Okay, we say New Market, but actually there is nothing new about it. The market is nearly more than 147 years old. It was started in the year 1874. It first started on 1st of January 1874. And the importance of New Market, or how New Market is so important to anyone who stays here. Okay, malls might come and go, but then New Market is eternal. Okay, I just found a very nice quote for this market, which I want to share with you. This is from Jayant Kriplani's New Market Tales. Okay, I quote, "There was something about Calcutta in the 1960s and 1970s. A once glorious city found itself torn by the Naxalite movement. Revolution and history were being staged at every street corner. But nothing had shaken the historic New Market since its illustrious beginnings in 1874. Not the world wars, not the struggle for independence. The market thrived no matter who was in power." I unquote. So this is the power of New Market. Malls can come, malls can go, brands can come, brands can go. But for any Calcuttan who stays here, or even who stays out, if they come to visit Calcutta, a visit to the New Market is extremely important. Now, this New Market has its beginnings, has a very racist kind of history. So when the English in the 19th century, when the English had held their sway here, there were old markets, which were here, whether it was Lal Bazaar or whether it was Tirata, whether it was the Dharamtala market. These old markets, these hard kind of, markets were there. And though these places, when I talk about Lal Bazaar, I talk about Chaurangi, though it was inhabited by the Europeans, but there were, on the fringes, there were Indians who were staying. And, the British were very averse to, I quote, brushing shoulders with the natives. Okay. And so there was a hue and cry about a separate market, Victorian complex being built for the Europeans only. And this was when in the 1870s, a market just to cater to the Europeans was, started. And so Stuart Hogg, who was the, head of the corporation, he was the one who spearheaded this entire project. And the corporation then brought this piece of land where New Market stands today. There was a very old bazaar there, which was known as the Fenwick Bazaar. They bought over the land. The old ramshackle Fenwick Bazaar was removed, and this beautiful Victorian Gothic market was made to cater to the European customers. The architect was a gentleman who went by the name of R.R. Bain, who was an official in the East India Railways. And so, if you look very carefully, the outer facade of New Market with its towers and arched windows, etc., have a very close resemblance to the Howrah station, because it was the same person who built both Newmarket and the Howrah station. And to add to its beauty, in the 1930s, you had the clock tower, which was again bought from Huddersfield. I think, if I'm not again not yes, it was bought from Huddersfield in England in the 1930s. And today we talk about brands, and we talk about these huge high street brands and all. But one point in time, it was Calcutta, and it was Newmarket, which was full of these high street brands. I'll just like to name a few. The shopping arcade was visited by several affluent colonials from across India who came to shop at the high street brands here, such as Rankin and Company, who were dressmakers, Cuthbertson and Harper, who were shoe merchants, and Thacker and Spink and Company, who were the famous stationers. All right. So this was Newmarket. Now, I spoke a bit about Fenwick Bazaar, right? So the street which goes just beside Newmarket, beside the clock tower, it is known as the Fenwick Bazaar Street. It was known. Now, I don't know, when I was researching for Fenwick Bazaar and had gone there for a walk, there is still one store which is called the Sarla Stores. If you ever go there, do visit the store. The board is very, very interesting. The shop sells bread and buns and eggs, but the address on the board still says Fenwick Bazaar Street. So if you ever go there, do have a look at the have a look at the store. Now, after we cross Newmarket, we are back on Free School Street once again, and we trudge along. We pass through a old bazaar, which is known as Jan Bazaar now. And what is famous in Jan Bazaar, everyone knows. I mean, I don't have to even point out, because I'm going to come to the end of my walk the talk walk. So as we finish, come to the fag end of Free School Street, and we hit upon the crossing of S.N. Banerjee Road and the Free School Street. Just before that, we have Bengali Bunidi history there, and how Rani Rashmani. So there are three old mansions which belongs to Rani Rashmani there. And on Free School Street, though the address says number 13 Rani Rashmani Road, the entrance to the house is from Free School Street. This was a Kachari Bari of Rani Rashmani, and now it is looked after by the Hajra family. The Durga Puja is very, very legendary there. Across the road, just opposite, you have another house which is looked after by the Bishash family, and that was a place where our first magazine was launched. The first PKG magazine was launched there. So Rani Rashmani, I really, in this group especially, where we have such stalwarts who know about the history of old Calcutta and old families so well, I am no authority to speak about her. We all know about how Rani Rashmani was married very young to this rich family of Babu Rajchandra Das, how at a very young age she was widowed, how she, being a Shudra and not very educated, she looked after the zamindari of the family, etc. so well. We also know about her, the way she made the Dakshineshwar temple, her patronage to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, her various philanthropic activities, how she made the roads, how she funded the ghats, the Babu Ghats. There is a story that even Dwarkanath Tagore, he mortgaged a piece of his land, which was a part of the Sundarbans, to her when he wanted to go to England. And it is said that that point in time, that part of the city was full of marshy jungles and swamps, and no one stayed there except for a few dacoits and thugs. And how Rani Rashmani, encouraged them to start bheris and become fishermen. Okay, so we all know these stories. We also know about her various tiffs with the British, the way she protected the fishermen who were being taxed by the, how she took the British by the horns. We all know that. I mean, I don't even have to, say such things to you. Only one thing regarding Rani Rashmani I'll like to say, and this thing which I'm going to point about is was a thought which was put in my mind by a PKG friend who is Pragga Paramita. And I remember when we had gone for our cruise, when we had gone to map the Ghats, that cruise, Pragya and I were talking about, her column in PKG, which is Ekti Mer Golpo. So when we were talking about that, she pointed out that how, in the course of our conversation, we hit upon the fact that how we talk about feminism today. We talk about, how important women are and how strong women are. But way back then, look at Rani Rashmani. Such was her power that even today, when we speak about her family, when we speak about her progeny, when we speak about her descendants, we say that so and so belong to the line of Rani Rashmani and not from her, her, husband. So in a patriarchal society like that, this is what I say is real power, and that power is in Free School Street. Okay, so Rani Rashmani, the great woman, I call her the greatest queen of Bengal. So she was in Free School Street. So this was my small walk through Free School Street. I hope it was important. I hope it was fun and nice, and I hope I could just do justice to the high benchmark which PKG has set. So if you have any questions, I can take them on. Any questions? Should we end the talk then? Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Have a nice evening. Stay safe, stay indoors till the lockdown is there. And I really hope we can meet all of you on the other side of this pandemic. Thank you so much.